Hi, this is Matt Laughlin with Coeur d'Alene Real Producers. Chances are if you're watching this, you've already caught a snippet of our interview with Fred about his love for real estate. And in this video, you're going to get to know him more personally. A little bit about his family, his faith, what drives him, and hope you enjoy. Here in North Idaho.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a fourth generation North Idaho person.
Not many of those. It's
No.
a small state.
No. So most of them have been all in Post Falls.
Wow.
So I think I'm the first one to branch out into Hayden and Coeur d'Alene.
Wow. Far
Which
move.
I know, right? Back in the day, that used to be a long distance phone call.
Yeah.
Right, when there was landline only.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a big branch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been here for a long time. Never owned large chunks of land, we weren't farmers, my dad was a truck driver.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My mom stayed at home with us.
Yeah. How many siblings?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Yeah.
Where are you in the birth order?
So I was the firstborn, so I'm the oldest.
Yeah. Look at all you oldest in real estate, man. He's
Yeah.
the oldest of
Yeah.
that many. 5.
So for me, I appreciated the most about growing up in North Idaho is just the simple life of it. We didn't grow up with, a boat or anything, so we did some camping. We raised animals. I was in 4-H, so that was interesting. And just to kind of give a little backstory, when I grew up, you either became a logger or a miner when you finished your schooling, or you went to college to serve those industries. Yeah, so my work background started when I was 9. I was a Coeur d'Alene Press paper boy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? When you can employ a 9-year-old, I guess that's how it happens, right?
Yeah.
So I delivered papers. I worked for farmers. I changed sprinkler pipe, worked through harvest. Went to high school in Post Falls. So worked, went to school. I went to college for a year at NIC, and then left to serve a mission for my church in France and Switzerland. So that was pretty cool. I became fluent in French, which I'm semi-fluent still.
Today.
Yeah, not much practice goes on in North Idaho, right?
Not at all. Yeah.
So when I got back from that, I went to NIC again for a year, and it was hard to, I'd spent all my money, so I was working, going to school full time, went to a job fair where they were hiring shoe store managers for Kinney's, which evolved into Foot Locker and Champ Sports and these retail outlets, right? So they were already going to pay more than this accounting profession that I was chasing and kind of flailing about in college. So I jumped and got into retail and managed shoe stores for 8 years.
Oh, in your 20s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got married during that time, started our family, and if you're familiar with retail, the hours are open to close. So 9 in the morning till sometimes 10 at night. Holidays were even more atrocious.
Yeah.
So just looked for a way to change, right?
Yeah.
To become, more of a father than a shoe store manager.
Yeah.
So my wife was a college basketball player at North Idaho College in Weber State in Ogden, Utah. So when she graduated, she was a graduate assistant. During that time, we got married. So I moved to Utah for 4 years. And we were always looking for a way to come home because she's also from here.
Oh, she is.
Yeah. So my grandfather was a realtor here.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, hey, maybe you should just try real estate. So while managing shoe stores, I got my real estate license in Utah and sold a couple houses, figure I could pull it off.
You've been with the same brokerage for 26 years.
Yeah.
Which in today's world of
Unheard of, right?
everything
Right.
is impressive. So
Yeah.
what do you What's your perspective on that? What have you appreciated most about those relationships? A lot of people haven't had a friendship that long, much less a career in the same place. So talk to us about it.
Yeah. So Coldwell Banker has really always felt a little homey to me. My dad worked for Gary Schneidmiller's dad in the farms.
Yeah.
You know, when they were both a lot younger.
Yeah.
And I worked, on farms all over the prairie. And so when I got my license in Idaho, I just came and met Gary and knew that there was a high level of integrity and community. You know, they were givers to the community, the Schneidmiller family, even back then. So it was a pretty easy fit for me to say, that's where I want to land. And I interviewed with a couple others, before, just to make sure.
Yeah.
And Coldwell Banker wasn't a big brokerage. There was, I'm guessing here, but probably less than 50 agents.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how that worked. I've always been treated fairly. I've always had a great work environment.
Yeah, friendships.
Great relationships.
That's neat. I love hearing that about
I've never been mistreated there.
Yeah.
I've always been treated fairly.
Yeah.
And I think that's sometimes why people either move brokerages for more money, in their minds. But I've always felt like the value that I get from Coldwell Banker has been equal to what it cost me to work there.
Yeah.
I think integrity is learned. Some of it might be, something you're born with and you try to emulate from your parents or your grandparents or your, for me, maybe it was church leaders. I grew up, fairly active, actually very active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So that's where that came from. You learn about sacrifice for yourself and for others and for your family, and there's plenty of that in real estate, right? But you also learn that you have a duty to treat people fairly and to treat them with kindness and to treat them with respect. And I watched that from lots of successful people growing up, but it's not just about business for me. I mean, it really is a deeper commitment to God and
Yeah. Being a steward of what it is to be a man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the stewardships that we've been trusted with are important to magnify and to grow and to pass on to our children and an extension of that is to the people that I associate with. And my wife teaches a lesson about marinating meat, really, and how you make maybe a imperfect cut of meat, taste good.
Yeah.
And it's all about the marination, right?
That's great. Yeah.
And it's the same really for people. You become kind of what you hang around.
What you steep in.
Yeah, exactly. So your marination is part of what makes you, I think, a good person.
Yeah.
My wife and I were married in 1990. We started dating in 1982. So we dated for 8 years on and off. She was a couple years younger than I was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we dated on and off for a couple years. We did our own things. We did a lot of things together. Her family lived here. My family lived here. And our families were tight. Yeah. So really, we dated, for 8 years, but really we've known each other for...
Got a friendship for me.
Oh, I've probably known her for 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it didn't take a lot of, we didn't have to change really when we got married. I mean, her faith was strong, my faith was strong. We knew how we wanted to raise our children. We knew we wanted to live here, even though when we first were married, we lived in Ogden. But we knew our goal was to move back here. So my oldest daughter's 28. She's a school teacher in Saratoga Springs, Utah, teaches third grade. Teacher of the year last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, she's the type of teacher that parents ask for their kids to be in her class.
Yeah. You feel whole and complete as a dad. What more can you want?
Right?
Your child.
Right. One thing she did ask my wife, because my wife has a teaching background, is she says, "Mom, why don't you tell me that teachers don't make any money?" We thought that was pretty funny, but she doesn't. Again, you know, you don't do it for that.
Yeah.
You know, teachers are a unique breed.
They really are. Yeah.
And they really love to teach.
Yeah.
So I have a son that's 25. He's in his third year of dental school at Creighton University.
Oh, great.
So we're hoping he chooses to move back here. We've given him every reason to want to. But you know, that's a profession that you have to move where opportunity is.
There's plenty of teeth moving here. So
correct, right? And more moving.
Yeah, more.
So he's doing really well. And my youngest daughter is 19. She's attending Brigham Young University in Rexburg.
What's something that many people might not know about you?
Wow.
It could be light or heavy.
Right. No, some things people might not know about me so much. I'm kind of an open book. I'm pretty transparent with everybody. So everybody knows that obviously I sell real estate. They know who my wife is. I mean, she's fairly well known in the community. We're active in everything we do, whether it was Little League or basketball or soccer. You know, we were those parents, right?
Fully engaged.
Fully engaged, right? We're fully engaged with our faith. Everybody knows that, you know, Sundays for me are days off.
Yeah.
Except for some church work, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and that was a transition that I had to make. So maybe that's a little bit something people might not know. Is early in my career, you know, when you're scratching for every deal, you unfortunately make compromises that you don't necessarily regret, but you think you could have probably played them differently when you look back. So, but other things people don't know about me, I like to hunt and fish. I mean, typical North Idaho things. Yeah. I have a brother that lives about 35 miles up to St. Joe. He likes to hunt, and maybe 3 other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go up and stay at his house, and me and so my 2 brothers, and my dad used to go up, but he doesn't like just sitting around up there now. So the most fulfilling thing for me in my career is and Sheila might not remember this because she was busy working and coaching, but we sat down and kind of mapped out a little bit how my career might evolve. And, you know, because like everything else, when you change careers, you know, it's a little bit spooky. So she was teaching and coaching and you know, making a teacher's salary and a coach's stipend, but she had medical benefits. And so that's what enabled me to jump into real estate, which was straight commission, right?
Yeah.
So that was spooky, but we talked about, you know, a time where I'd like to treat everybody so, you know, I'm going to sell them a house today, and maybe in 5 years we'll start to see kind of a snowball effect of people that come back, and that has absolutely played itself out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that has been probably the most fulfilling part career-wise, is having the same people call me back, having their kids call me back, you know, who are now, you know, they're old enough now to be buying their first and second houses. So here 4 or 5 years ago, working super hard and come to a point where I needed to change. So I think we all get to that point where it's not burnout necessarily, but it's like, you know, there's a priority shift, or maybe you need to evaluate, you know, your balance between, you know, for me it was, you know, my service to God, my family, and work. And how do I rebalance that, right? Because there were times in my career that it was like, whew, right, spot on, and everything worked great. And as you feel that balance start to kind of shift, really, for me, those 3 aspects none of them were like succeeding wildly. So a builder I was working with was going bankrupt. So it was a good chance to step away from the big builder new construction account. I shared ownership in a property management company that I sold to my partner, and had kind of decided that I'm going to just kind of fade out, right? And it sounded pretty awesome. And for the first maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, it felt pretty good to, sit back and, read the whole Jack Reacher series. I mean, really just took a step back. But then your friends keep calling you. And I was I'm very selective on who I was kind of willing to get back and help, right? So you kind of fast forward a couple years of that, and I had an opportunity given to me to serve in church, right? Really supervise 10 congregations. So that opened up like a lot of ways to serve people again, without a monetary compensation. So with that, I mean, things just kind of, they just rebalanced again, right? And I think that's how, not to get too, religious, but I think that's how God intends it to be, for us to, love our neighbors and to serve each other, and when you can balance that with a great relationship with your wife and kids, I think your career just kind of falls in line. So I'm actually probably I'm busier now than I probably intended to be. Part of it's a function of the market. Part of it's just a function of my friends keep calling, right? And honestly, when I look at those new listings that hit the market where I sold them this house a while back, and I realized that, I can't be perfect and all that, right? And nor do I really want to be that busy again.
So you're just trusting it's natural.
It's all natural right now for me. Yeah, it's really just flowing at a real natural pace. I have a great relationship with my wife and kids. I have a great relationship with God.